Hey everybody, it's Thursday night and we're the Reformers and we're just gonna jump into it. It's been a day. I put this first screenshot up. There was an interview last, I think it was Sunday with Marta Romo. Yeah, it says Sunday. If you just read, it's like reading the transcript. Trump, we want to open up the strait, but the ships are coming up to the United States. I mean, my glasses aren't. I need to get stronger glasses. Um, I mean, I've been inviting everybody. It's pretty good. It used to be called the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's called the Gulf of America because of me. One of the little things I did, and it's great now, or a great honor. I mean, if you just read that, like I read that to my wife out loud, and she was like, "What the fuck?" Like tonight we're talking about a few different topics, but he keeps coming up with these. He's losing it. All right, so off that, but this is the segment she did about like kind of interviewing about the war, gas prices, that kind of thing. Speaking of gas prices, we're going to continue with her with a little video.
May I
Believe the
ask a
price of
question
oil and
really
gas
quick?
will be lower before.
Was that?
I'm just curious, moving forward, are we to refer to him as Trump, Dr. Jesus, or Dr. Jesus Trump? Sorry.
Don't call him Jake. I would prefer we don't use Jesus in the same way as Trump, unless it's like Holy Jesus or something. Yeah, as an expletive, yes. I don't know.
Do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be, or the same, or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same. I think this won't be that much longer.
Now, she tries to throw him a bone. She comes back for more.
Is this all going to be enough? The blockade in the strait, the opening up capacity in the United States is this going to be enough to lower the price of oil and gas, sir?
Well, eventually it's going to be lowered. No, it might not happen initially, but it's going to go down.
I mean, the gas. So I live in California. Michelle, you live in California. We are known for having the highest gas prices in the country pretty consistently. And we've had, like, when the refinery goes, they use any excuse to raise the gas prices. That's what I'm trying to say here. And they go up kind of fast. Like, you can literally, you drive from one day to the next and you can see, wow, it's 5 cents more or whatever. It never comes down as quickly as it goes up. Never. So I don't know what the hell I think he's trying to convince people that, on one hand, they're like, the economy is better. Oh, well, it's not better, but it's going to be better. I mean, it's like one of those two things, and they're constantly saying that crap. And does anyone know how much this war is costing us?
Gajillions of dollars.
Does anyone know? I mean, seriously.
So there was
I filled my tank. Yeah, I filled my tank today. It was not encouraging. Just saying.
Of course not. Do you have an SUV or a regular car? I think you just glitched out a little bit. So,
well, whatever it costs, I think the best thing to hammer home is Eisenhower's speech at the end of his presidency, of his farewell address, saying, every bomber, every missile, every tank is someone that we didn't feed. It's someone that we didn't clothe. It's someone that we didn't house. It's that these are choices, and that was from the general that won World War II. This is not somebody that is a dove in particular, but even then knew that this is where this was going, and here we are spending just an unlimited amount of money on things that absolutely could help us here at home.
So the cost of the war, where are my notes? The first 6 days, the war cost $11.3 billion. That's according to the Pentagon, even. So now there's an academic who believes over 10 years it's going to cost us $1 trillion. And I hope this doesn't last 10 years, but it's expensive. And this is at a time when people are losing health care. SNAP benefits are cut, and they keep talking about cutting more shit from regular working people. And we have to hear about this war every day. Did anybody watch Keith Hegseth, or I should say this, not Keith Hegseth. Did anybody watch the press conference this morning with him, with Hegseth?
With Hegseth?
Is-
No.
Yeah.
Not the one
Pulp
that was
Fiction?
yesterday that's the yesterday that he quoted Pulp Fiction
Okay.
No.
for the Bible.
Well,
yeah.
I missed it yesterday, but this morning he started talking about he started using religion to kind of slam reporters. And basically, like, I feel like his whole purpose of doing these press briefings when it comes to the war is to talk about how you shouldn't be unfavorable in your reporting to him. Whereas I think they're being too nice, if you ask me, like the reporting of the war right now. I prefer, overseas journalists.
Remember that they've culled most of the real journalists from the room to begin with.
Mhm.
So you're already starting with a group of reporters that is friendly to the administration. So it should be no surprise that they're not being hard on them.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
Except for Caitlin. Caitlin usually brings it.
she does. I don't know if she was there for this one. I didn't watch the whole thing. I can't sit through those. But
I don't know how anybody does.
Yeah, he in particular like makes my blood boil. Anyway, okay. So
Yeah,
here. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like, I don't know if folks stay up to date on this stuff, but I read a report earlier that said our service members on 2 ships, specifically the Lincoln and another, I can't remember the name of the other ship, but that there's food shortages and people
Oh,
are
you're
going
kidding.
hungry. Our service members.
Oh, 100%,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I have
doubt
not
about
heard
it.
that.
Yeah.
That is disgusting. That's crazy.
They were fine with our
Yeah.
service members needing WIC benefits and cutting those. So what's the difference then if they're in
Right.
service and they can't afford to eat either, or they don't have food? They're obviously fine with soldiers going hungry. No problems.
That's really terrible. Okay, so the cost of war. Well, the other person that doesn't know is Voight, and it's his job to know.
Very much, Mr. Chairman. And have you included, Director Vogt, estimates or a fund for the war in Iran in the budget you presented to Congress?
No, sir.
Are you planning to present that in short order?
We are working on a supplemental for Congress for additional needs. We're working through that review process. Part of it is the length of the war, part of the operations overseas, part of it is the extent to which some items might be fiscal year 26 or 27, and we're working through that.
Thank you. Would I be in the ballpark to say we've already spent at least $50 billion?
I wouldn't want to make a characterization of that at this point.
Okay.
You have no idea, none, how much has been spent on the war so far?
We don't have that figures right now. I think in part because it's fluctuating on a day in, day out basis. But it's one of the reasons we want to are studiously reviewing.
You can't even give us a range.
No, I'm
There's
not going to give you a range.
So
I don't feel bad because that's
Wow.
his job.
Literally. What else is he doing?
So this is a poll from April, just now, from April 9th to the 13th. And, usually we see these polls lately, at least. It's usually a total number like this 38%. And people, like, I post them all the time. And people in my replies say, why is it 38%? Why is it 38%? And this is why. It's because you have 88% of Republicans who are going to ride him till the wheels fall off. Like, I think he used to be in the 90% range with Republicans, so it's dipped a little bit, but where you're really losing it is independents. That's why but this number is staying artificially high, I think, because of Republicans. They're not, even though they're starting to break and they're starting to say things like, well, he shouldn't be, posting blasphemous memes. He's still going to stay. I don't know how much lower he's going to get, which, because of them. But everyone else that has sense sees it. We are going to, okay, so speaking of polls or craziness, let's watch.
25 million, and it would be better. It would be better. See this pen right here? Our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. So this pen is very inexpensive, but it writes well. I like it. I picked those drapes in my first term. I always like gold. I love the government like I love myself economically. And I got all you people looking, and you say there must be something wrong with Trump.
You think Tom Tillis is going to give you
Well,
a
we're
vote
going to have to find out. He might not, but that's why Tom Tillis is no longer a senator.
Okay. On the
You know,
AI
Tom
thing,
Tillis is no longer a senator, right? He
well,
quit.
he's on his way out.
Well, no, he quit, but he quit.
So he's still a senator. He didn't retire. He didn't quit. So
They wanted to go hiking in Peru. Was it Peru?
Was it?
Peru. And it's known for being a rather rough place in terms of physical creatures crawling around. 28,000 people die a year from a snake bite, a certain snake. It's a viper, right? It's said to be the most poisonous snake in the world. It's so powerful, this snake. It's said to be the most poisonous. That, the black mamba, the brown mamba, and the viper from Peru. You do not want to play games, okay? And this vicious snake, and it is vicious. Teeth are like this, those fangs. These are not fangs you want, sucking on your arm, right? And the power is incredible of animals. Power is incredible. You got hit, and we take a lot of respect. The chances of living from that snake are substantially less than 1%, and that's only if you have the venom. Even if you have the venom, you don't live.
It sounds like a Mel Brooks skit.
it really does. And they used to talk about Biden. I mean, and I think this is one thing, I'm gonna go back to this. I think Democrats are underreacting to this shit. And he's clearly in decline, like deep decline. And we would actually benefit from talking about this every day. From Democrats going on shows and posting about it. We need memes, more memes, because Republicans did that to Joe Biden, and he wasn't this crazy. I'm sorry, he was not. I shouldn't say he was crazy at all, but he was not. I don't know what you call this condition. What do you guys call it? Is this dementia? I don't know.
I mean, it's narcissism for sure. Yeah, agreed, Susan. Agreed. And then obviously the cognitive decline. I mean, he has cognitive decline. Like how that's connected to what condition, there are a variety of things that can cause it. Inflammation in your body can disrupt that, right? Like, and that can be attributed to a lot of different conditions and usually is. So I can't speculate, but it's very clear there's a health condition on top of the narcissism. And that combination is just embarrassing because it's like what I said about, when we were talking about the governor of California, you get one person for this job, one person in the entire country for this job. And this is the guy you've said, like, again, and I stress this, I wouldn't trust this guy to run a 7-Eleven, like, let alone the country. So why are we doing this? This is just, the normalization of it is going to be what's also studied, right? Like they're going to accept the fact that he was just obviously this malignant narcissist, like bad dude, whatever. But the history books are going to look at us and go, why the hell did y'all just normalize this and accept it and go, yeah, I guess he's just like this. It's not your drunk uncle at Thanksgiving.
No.
It's the president.
No. And where's the fail safe to like pull him in? And there is none. There's none.
Everybody just thought Congress would do it. They thought.
I think in the in the age we're living in the age of social media, and I think the clarity, the fact that we see this so often, because I'm sure there have been other presidents with dementia in the history books. They just didn't call it out, and it wasn't seen because there were no videos or there wasn't social media, and they didn't have the narcissism.
This is like Hitler. This is
Well, like he came into it with like, he's such a bigot, and then you get the white nationalists going, and then the power thing, and then they mix in religion, which we know he's not, he's not really religious.
He's not actually religious, yeah.
Yeah, so
He's cosplaying for like attention. What I feel like he's more like a Disney villain, like one of those incompetent Disney villains. Not like one of the old school, like Maleficent was a badass. I don't mean that. I mean like one of the newer ones, that the kooky ones that are really like incompetent too. And you're like, how did they get control of that whole empire? That's what this feels like. It's like he is just stunningly bad at everything that he does. Mediocre to awful. And I mean, it starts with finance, like everything, like just even in his own life. And that was, I remind you, those of you that saw The Apprentice, that was what we were doing. Most of us were laughing at him. When he was on The Apprentice, the whole reason that show played was because everybody thought he was ridiculous. It wasn't because they esteemed him and thought he was like this big, great businessman. We all thought he was a joke. So the joke's on us, I guess.
He didn't have the nuclear codes back then.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, and
I think it's really noticeable.
Snakes, and I'm worried about dangerous bacteria in the jungles that humans haven't seen yet.
Yeah. Well, we have RFK Jr. I don't have any clips for you guys on that one, but he was a mess today too.
Yeah.
There's
not enough time. There's not enough time to get all of these people. Every single person in this administration is almost as bad as him, or maybe worse in some cases. I don't know.
The RFK clip that I saw that I just couldn't watch anymore was the incredibly racist one where he was accused by the questioner of, he said something on a podcast about, every black child is being given all these drugs and that's the reason they're violent. And he's like, I didn't say that. And then, they play the clip of him saying it. you go, again, there's one of these people. This is the one we pick. This just says so much about our society.
Not we at Trump.
We knew that going in. Part of the reason he's president is because the two of them joined forces. You knew from the beginning, like from July or whatever, that they made their pact with the devil, that he was part of the deal.
I think it all turned for him when he had that attempted assassination. That is when the tide turned for him, and he, it was over at that point. That's when everyone came, to rally around him. It was not going that well before that. So it's, meanwhile, he has no hint of any injury.
And what happened to the shooter? He was shot, correct?
Yeah, shot and killed. And
right.
One other person in the crowd was it one or two that was killed? I think it was one.
But and no one, his family never spoke out or anything?
Not that I heard.
Just asking.
No, the whole thing is suspicious to me. I think to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Oh, my ear. Sorry.
Well, it was basically a graze at best. We know your ear cartilage doesn't like heal.
They get really upset when you remind them of that, by the way. And I was like, yeah, you can't do that to all these kids of the 70s, 80s, and 90s that had all of our cartilage piercings, right? Like, we're very acutely aware of what does and does not grow back.
Yeah.
And also what leaves a mark, because even if it eventually does grow in, like, so I have a cartilage piercing that, has grown back, but there's still a very clear mark you can see, and there's scar tissue there. So that's there. That's always there. It's never going away.
It wasn't a piercing,
right?
So
right. You can sew anything back together, but it's not going to look the same. It's going to look a little Frankenstein-like, right? Like, that's the whole point. And it's very evident that this party has no problem lying. They have no problem of just completely disregarding the Constitution. So what makes people think that they would follow any other laws? They're consistently bad actors. consistently bad actors. And so, yeah, I'm going to be the first to be honest. Like, I think that was orchestrated. Now, how that was orchestrated and who was involved, I don't know. And I'm going to say, I don't care. I'll say it. Like, I'm not, I don't care if people call me a conspiracy theorist at this point. We are all underreacting. These people are just stealing the country away. And we're like, well, maybe, no, not today. That's fine. I don't want to be called a conspiracy theorist. Like, no, they're definitely just taking this country away. They put it in a book and published it. Maybe you read it. It's there online still. And we're like, what, 60% of the way through it? I don't know what percentage now. We're at least 60% of the way through. Yeah. Anybody know where we are with Project 2025?
I don't know if it's 60%. I know it's more than 50. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought we'd hit 60 by now.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we're hovering at around 52%, something like
The
that.
same kind of thing can be said with the Bernie Sanders backed vote on stopping money for Israel, and the fact that 40 Democratic senators voted to stop the funding, and that's great. But 60 didn't, and among them 7 Democrats voted not to. And it's like, if you can't look at what Israel's doing now, let alone 2 years ago, but now, and say what they're doing is wrong, then what else can you possibly show as evidence that what they're doing is not something we should be supporting? And so all of this is the same kind of thing, that it is underreacting. It is not doing enough to stop what is happening.
It's the same thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Susan.
No, it's almost like, how much can the American people tolerate? That's their scale.
Yeah, I think it's imagination. People have a really hard time, I've said this before, associating the executive branch with a villain. And they think that somehow someone's going to take over that office, and suddenly the honor and the importance, the weight of that position is going to overtake them, and suddenly they're going to be loyal and good in what they do in that role. And that is how the framers, like, if you read a lot of their writings, they actually didn't think that men were very good. Like, they didn't have very high estimations for what we would be doing. But they also understood that if they wrote too much in, right, if they made things too restrictive, then we wouldn't be able to function. So they were sort of like, we don't know how long this is going to last, but like, here you go. But they weren't sitting there thinking that this was never going to happen. In fact, I think if the founders of this country came back, they would be shocked that we made it this far. I think they would be surprised. But that said, because we've made it this far, and because even though it's not that far in terms of history, it feels far to us, right? Like, as a Democratic Republic, we feel like it's long. People have this inability to, in the US, feel like we could fall apart. They're like, oh, that happens to other countries, right? Like, revolutions happen in other countries. Like, that doesn't happen to us. That we're special. We're like, the city on a hill. Like, watch us go. I think people are having a really hard time grappling with the fact that even though they want to complain about Congress, and even though they want to complain about politicians being corrupt, that there is actively a plot to disassemble this country and feed it to all of these billionaires. Like, people are having a hard time really anticipating what these people are doing, because it is so sinister. And we haven't really seen anything like this. Someone's always come in and stopped stuff like this, right? And they're like, who's going to stop? Is anybody going to stop this? Nobody's stopping it. Nobody's reacting within that, because it's like everybody's waiting for somebody else to do something. They're just standing around like, I guess. So if you ask people, they're upset about it, but they're also not like, and they also are concerned, but they just assume someone else is going to fix it somehow.
People don't know about the business coup against Franklin Roosevelt, and it shows that, that this happened before, and one guy stopped the entire U.S. government from being overthrown in the 1930s. So, this is not out of the realm of possibility.
But we've never seen it front facing like this. And that's the problem, is that, like, corruption has always existed, but it has never existed this publicly in this long of a, like, period of time where we can see it in real time as it's happening, because that's what the internet and social media allows us to do. And also because now we're not just getting US media, people can check in with other countries and get their perspectives. They have friends that live in other countries. You know, we're a global society, so we're connected. And so before, where we could have maybe been insulated from all of that, and maybe like a hunt for Red October situation could happen, and we'd find out later and be like, oh shit, right? Like Cuban Missile Crisis, what? But not to the effect that you're feeling it every day, all the time, and your nervous system is like ready to crash because it's every single day, all the time. That this is a new era of
Well, that
To the
brings-
point, to the point you
Yeah.
were making, Casey, really quick about, we are expecting somebody to save us. I blame my political science teacher because he was, we have safeguard. We have 3 branches of government. We
Yeah,
have,
you're not-
we're checking ourselves. We've got the system. It's built in, right? That was really what was taught. And so when this was happening a few years ago, I just remember having conversations with all of, and I'm like, wait. And folks were
I
like,
think
yeah,
it took
no,
most
we're
of
just
us-
going to have to.
I think it
buckle
took most
down
of us the whole first term of Trump to realize these are norms. They're not laws.
No one's doing it.
Yes.
And
so
and I
we
think the fact that the
that
Supreme
is
Court
so
is
true.
completely, is completely.
That's the problem. So the
Tough,
Supreme Court going, to your point, if that wasn't the case, and that's partially why we saw Trump slow down so much, and that's also why we saw Project 2025 rewritten the way it was. But in my class, we did get to this section, and it is partially my fault because I definitely was I was in my 20s. Like I was way more optimistic about stuff, even though I was still a realist. I was like, yeah, our government, like it is pretty amazing. Like, I mean, it's terrible. And we did a lot of awful things, but we're also amazing. But so I blew it up a little, but we always got to the point of these kinds of questions. And they're like, wait, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I mean, this is really just operating on the fact that we've always had people who feel the same way, that have this love and loyalty for the country. And that ultimately at the end of the day, there's enough of those people balancing out any of the bad stuff. Right. And then these were seniors though, so they're capable of understanding that, and they'd always freak out because they're like, what do you mean? And gerrymandering was another thing we talked about that they were livid about. Like there were just a couple places where I think I may have traumatized them, is what I'm saying, Michelle. If you're watching, if you're a former student, my bad, because I definitely did warn them about certain things, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're like 5 minutes from collapse, but like thankfully there's a lot of really great people. And now there's not. So my bad, you're so right. But to be fair, there's a lot of things that happened and not on accident. That's the other thing we need to be honest about. These were all planned. So we can't just act like this was fate, like, oh, the universe decided. No, I mean, the Republicans have actively been working on this, and now we know that, right? Some of us knew before, some of us didn't, but now we all know, we're kind of getting on the same page here, that this has been a long plan. The Supreme Court, like all the stuff, right? So that's why there's nothing left.
There's 1,000
We're learning in real
procedural
time.
manual that's out there.
We're learning in real time, so that's important. We learn when we fail, and I guess our government's going to have to collapse first.
We also learn from tolerance. How much will be tolerated till it isn't tolerated?
Yes.
And if President Obama had pictured himself as Jesus, I'm sorry, the whole freaking world would have collapsed.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if he made the comments about Allah on Easter,
Everything.
Remember?
I mean, every day. Like Trump does stuff that's so beyond, and we let 99% of it go because it's less bad than the other thing, but it's still like not anywhere close to normal. So it's just like, what now? And then sometimes we tap out because it's just like I can't anymore. Like like you could take any one of his remarks, speeches, whatever, and maybe if he did one a month, you'd be like, holy shit, this is the worst thing ever. He does them daily.
Every day.
And you're just like, whatever, because it's just one is crazier than the next.
I mean, Obama wore a tan suit, and they ripped him from one side to the other. Come on.
And they really, if it were Democrat, like with Hillary Clinton, like think about all the stuff that she's been persecuted for, and they have such a double standard for themselves. And this is what I mean by actors. They're putting on a play. They get together. I feel like they must have retreats. I'm being serious about this. Like, I really do think that like they have these weekends away where they do some sort of team building exercises and they teach each other what to say, and they all unify at the right times and like say that, like, even if they stray in the beginning, they all come together at some point and support each other. They like seem like they really like each other, but they probably don't at all. But somehow they've decided for the not the greater good, but like the worse good. I don't know how to say this. Like for their villainous plan, they're like, we're gonna all agree. And they have agreed that they're just going to lie and say one thing or be hypocritical or whatever. And it works for them.
So speaking of hypocritical, okay, so did you guys know that JD Vance was against this war?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he doesn't act like it now. Here we go.
Overlapping interests, and sometimes we're going to have distinct interests. And our interest, I think, very much is in not going to war with Iran, right? It would be a huge distraction of resources. It would be massively expensive to our country.
That was in October of 2024 on the Tim Dillon show.
And I'm not saying we stick ourselves into the Middle East and start a war here, but like we recognize, okay, Israelis, Gulf Arab states don't like Iran. So let the Israelis and the Gulf Arab states provide the counterbalance to Iran. America doesn't have to constantly police every region of the world.
So where is he at right now? Because like he's supporting Trump. He's
well,
a few days ago, he was campaigning for Orban. So
as we spoke about last week, what came out from the New York Times article about the go no go meeting with everybody in the Situation Room, where he was the loudest voice against the war, but didn't push it. That eventually just went, whatever you decide is fine. So it's even at that meeting, even right before this started, he knows it's wrong. He knew it was wrong. He argued that it was wrong, but he's willing to, in public, support all of this. And there's a point where, you're the vice president, you support the president, but he obviously has chosen Trump over country. He obviously did that in accepting the vice presidential nomination after being a never Trump guy. He has no soul. He has only his ambition for his future.
Yeah.
He has.
I think even in private, he agrees with Trump on everything. Like, I don't think he, remember how Obama didn't, he was on record of saying like, I want opposing views. I want, it makes me better.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Trump. And JD Vance is not going to tell Trump what he does not want to hear.
JD Vance is being paid to say something different. Let's be honest about that, right? JD Vance might actually disagree with Trump in a lot of ways, but he's not going to voice that because he's being paid to get along with him. Like, they brought him on to do a job, and he's not stupid, and Trump is. Like, this is the difference. Like, JD Vance is actually intelligent. Trump is not at all. So there is really there's a capacity here issue for Trump. He's not able to do that. And that's why most of the people that are surrounded that he's appointed, right, like are not like, they're like Pete Hegseth, right? Like RFK Jr., right? They're clearly people that are struggling and not intellectually at the same level as somebody like JD Vance. JD Vance has been paid and bought by the Heritage Foundation. So everything he's doing right now is posturing in case he has to make a switch over. I think, personally, in my opinion, I think everything that he's doing is trying to put himself in a position where if Trump has to be removed very quickly or dies or whatever, that he can just kind of swoop in, and then they can rebrand him as a different type of Republican, and then rally behind him and get that kind of support.
I think Trump is gonna do him in. Unless Trump drops dead, like when Vance actually starts to campaign, it's going to be so epic to watch. Here's an example.
That's why they need to switch him in without campaigning.
JD, he's lost weight. He got a little thinner, and I'm looking for a heavy set gentleman, and now I find a perfect looking specimen. He's doing a great job, and he's working on the deal, right? How's that moving? Is it okay? The big deal? You see it happening? So if it doesn't happen, I'm blaming J.D. Vance. If it does happen, I'm taking full credit. No, I think it'll be, I think it has to happen. I think they're desperate.
I mean, this is going to be his entire life when he's campaigning.
I think that's why the Republicans know they have to, something has to happen to Trump and they have to push JD Vance in, because him campaigning is not going to work. Like they're going to have, you know, it's going to have to be what people wanted Biden to do with Kamala Harris, right? Like step aside for health reasons and let Kamala Harris become president. And then she's automatically has some degree of validity as an incumbent. And then, you know, Russell Vought, Stephen Miller, they'd all get together and try to rebrand JD Vance as like the savior of the Republican Party, and like how, I don't know what they would do to Trump's legacy, but that of course requires Trump to fade away quickly in a way that makes people sympathetic to him.
They got to drag him along till January 21st, 2027, and then they're good. And then they can have 10 years of Vance, and then we'll...
I don't know. You think they wouldn't do it before?
So.
I think they might do it before the midterms.
Rubio.
I think that they do it as a bump before the midterms. You don't think?
I see Rubio stepping in before I see Vance.
Well, that's not the line of secession, so...
No, I know, but I'm just saying, as far as, you know, if we're looking at the elections a few years from now,
yeah,
JD
No,
Vance is not
Rubio.
their guy. Yeah.
I don't think Rubio can hack it. I think he's
yeah,
somehow
I don't
even
think
more.
MAGA-
He's weaker than JD Vance. I think in the eyes of MAGA.
I agree. I don't know. I mean, I could see him running. I just
Yeah.
don't know. I honestly, when you see what's happening now with all of their influencers, you know, like Megyn Kelly and all those types, they're kind of like not towing, you know, they're not carrying Trump's water right now. They're not too happy with him, especially on the war. Like I keep saying, the war is going to be Trump's undoing. Who do they go for? I don't see them all agreeing like, oh, it's Vance, oh, it's Rubio, oh, it's whatever. I think they agreed on Trump, you know, because he had the power, whatever. He was the strong man and he had the MAGA base support. I don't know how that works. I think it's going to be all over the place. I think the Republicans and MAGA are going to be a mess.
Trump was the one that was talking about wiping out a whole civilization. No one else said anything close to that.
Definitely not.
Maybe Pete, but
Oh, this is so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing and upsetting and annoying that we have to spend our time talking about this. What a mess.
But I do
Sorry,
think you're seeing the beginning of a schism where you will have different sects evolve going
But that's what I'm
forward.
saying. Do you see them coalescing around one?
No.
I think it's going to be a huge fight. It's going to be a knife fight.
No, look at what's happening with Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Like she's trying to, and I've said this for a while, she's trying to make her own little sect of MAGA happen. And
I think
so
she'll be
we're
running too.
Yeah, we're seeing, well, yeah. I think we're seeing, and she's trying to make bipartisan support. You notice she's trying to do that because she recognizes the public wants that. Marjorie Taylor Greene is smarter than people give her credit for, unfortunately. And I suspect
David Hogg bought it. I don't know if you guys saw that.
No, tell us.
Yeah.
I saw a quick interview, just a snippet, but he was basically saying that, you know, he would support Marjorie Taylor Greene.
oh my God.
I don't know why I'm surprised.
He'd give her a chance, you know.
People
I'm sorry,
on
but
the left do not know how to hold grudges. Like I need you all to step up and put on your big bitch pants, because the problem is that people do not hold grudges on the left. They forget it. And I understand, babe. Like I get it. My memory is tough. I forget things all the time. But you need to put some, I don't know if it's words of affirmation to remind you like why everything sucks right now. So that when things are a little bit better, you don't fall into the trap of supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's weird that I have to explain that. But I just feel like you need to embrace that inner bitch that you have and remember it, because the Republicans do it. The Republicans, they are not forgivers. They won't. They bring up stuff from decades ago that doesn't even apply. They were trying to get Russell Vought in his testimony to answer a question. He's bringing up Biden like every other question. Like these people can't shut up about the past.
I love
We need to
Greg's
do the same
comment,
thing.
by the way. It sounds like something I would say. Trump is absolutely 100% the dumbest motherfucker alive. Besides his dwindling supporters. Yeah.
We need to start saying that though. And I think that's part of the thing is people were afraid for the longest time to insult the president because you just didn't like you were respectful of the office. This man has already, we're done with that. Okay. This is a new era of politics.
We're really
and it's
past
called
that point.
say what you mean, Janet. Just say what you think. Like take all those inner thoughts about how terrible he is and just let him come out. Like especially if you have a social media account, just let it go, let it fly, because you're not protecting anybody by trying to be nice with the things that you say. You need to be honest. You need to be very honest at this point because we are all underreacting, and there no coalition should be built with these people, with any of them. Seriously, stop trying to do bipartisan shit with evil villains.
I have nightmares that I go to the Capitol and I walk into an elevator and Trump is in the elevator. What would I say to him?
That's a hard one.
Kick
him in the nuts or something like that. Is a Secret Service on there too?
It was perfect because that's what was asked of me.
If the Secret Service is not on there, is not on the
Yeah.
elevator, I would give you different advice.
Mm.
Okay, you guys. So we gotta watch this.
Move on.
President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support. And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it, and I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better, and I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
That was crazy when he said that, because I was like, that's what he came up with. I mean, and can you just say I'm sorry? Like, I think if you just said I screwed up and moved on once in a while.
He's incapable of that. He's
Yeah,
absolutely
but
incapable.
like, to me, that is the quickest way to move on. People are basically forgiving. And I feel like with this, like, he clearly does not like the Pope, but we got to talk about this because the Catholic Church doesn't have a ton of goodwill. Like, I'm Catholic. Okay? It doesn't have a ton of goodwill, but one thing he has done, he has unified pretty much everybody. Like, no matter what faith you are, or even if you're atheist or agnostic, this is, you may not call it, blasphemous or whatever, but this is like not okay.
Especially this Pope, because this Pope has done a lot to sort of revamp the image of the Popedom, like, right? Like this one specifically, and to war with him is like a wild choice because I feel like he's more popular.
You just set this up for propaganda because you had the president of Iran making a statement supporting the Pope in saying that, I don't think that a lot of people understand that Muslims believe in Jesus. They believe he was a prophet. He is a part of the Muslim religion. So it is offensive to them as well. So you don't understand the fact that you just handed propaganda to Iran during a war.
Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, they already had really good propaganda. That Lego stuff was compelling.
The Lego videos are amazing.
Yeah.
I think what's really stunning to me about him sharing this is that nothing speaks louder to me that you absolutely have zero, like, you are not a Christian. If you do not understand Christianity, you have never studied it, you have never been taught it. If you're sharing that, like, that goes against everything. I was raised Lutheran. My folks switched to Catholicism, so I have a little understanding about the Protestants in a big way. And neither are okay with what he's doing here. And then to lie, just straight up lie, as he's standing next to DoorDash grandma, which was a whole staged setup in itself, right?
God.
It's just
I got something for you on that.
it's one, it just feels like act 1, act 2, like what it depends on what day it is. We might get like an entire season. Some days we just get an episode. This is I don't know about you guys, but the last week I can't keep up. I just cannot.
Well,
keep up.
I have some quotes here. I have a little list from Trump about the Pope. That he's weak on crime, that he's terrible for foreign policy, he's catering to the radical left, owes his position to me. Like, I don't know where that came from. Like,
what? I didn't
sit
hear
down
that
and
one.
mind your own business. So, you know,
This
crazy.
is literally the Pope's business. Like, if there is a business, speaking out against wars would be the business of the Pope. Like that would be.
It's literally
one of
his
those
job.
things.
It's literally
Like,
his
right?
job. That's
the thing that they do.
Well, Vance is not that far behind you. He's not.
I made a video about this.
that the
I was
Pope
like, I don't know
isn't-
why you're going. Sorry, I was like, I don't know why you're going to Vance. He killed the last one. Like, this is not surprising. We've got Pete Hegseth.
about that.
He's got Pete Hegseth quoting scripture from fucking Pulp Fiction. Like, these are not seriously faithful people. They're not on the side of God. Stop.
Yeah.
Oh my
So
God.
listen to
Go ahead.
this.
Who is
This
his
I had to watch
patient?
like 3 or 4 times because the gall.
I like that the Pope is an advocate for peace. I think that's certainly one of his roles. First of all,
one of his like that already. Like, who is he?
First of all, random dude who's shouting. Can I finish my point and then I'll respond to what you just shouted? Is that okay? Okay, great.
Yeah, can we give him 1 second to answer
One
this?
person clapping.
When the Pope says that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword, there is more than a 1,000-year tradition of just war theory. Okay? Now, we can, of course, have disagreements about whether this or that conflict is just, but I think that it's important, in the same way that it's important for the Vice President of the United States to be careful when I talk about matters of public policy, I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. And I think that one of these issues here is that there has been, again, hey, random dude screaming, I told you I'd respond to your point. I just want to respond to this question first. But I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth. And that's one of the things that I try to do. And it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant. Now, to respond to this guy here.
Random dude.
What do y'all think? Because I just can't. Like, he's telling the Pope.
Didn't he become a Catholic like 5 minutes ago?
What's that?
So
couple of years.
Didn't he become
Yeah,
a Catholic
yes.
like 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, he's converted
What's
to
the title of
Catholicism.
his newest? Yeah, what's the title of his newest book? Isn't it
I wouldn't
Convert? I can't. I'm trying to remember.
You know, it's wrong. It's wrong in so many ways. It just, I mean, taking Bible lessons from J.D. Vance, Jesus. Sorry.
Literally.
All right. Well.
Oh, communion.
This whole thing is crazy to me. That again, like, we're like looking
Okay.
to the people who they've chosen a candidate that actively bragged about assaulting women, like literally on a hot mic. We're like, you can just rob them, you can do whatever you want. Who cares? Why? Of course, they're going to try to suggest that the Pope is not a godly. That they're somehow better than the Pope. This is one of the least surprising things they've done so far for me.
So I just want to correct what I said. His new book is called Communion: Finding My Way Back to Faith.
Ugh.
I don't think he's quite there yet.
He's not there
Yeah.
yet.
That's
You know,
nosy.
some folks are like, I've done the work. He has not done he's not even a work in progress. He's just like, I repeat. Yeah. I repeat what people need to say. That's what it feels like to me.
This DoorDash woman, Chris,
Oh
you
my
get
God.
that?
Yeah. Let's. This is a little recap here.
Now, the White House clearly wanted to portray that scene as just kind of a chance encounter. Trump is just a regular guy waiting for his French fries, waiting for some sweet and sour sauce. Never mind the armed Secret Service agents or guarded gates that this delivery driver somehow just navigated and skipped through. So as you probably suspected, probably know, the whole thing was an attempt at a PR stunt. The woman who showed up at the door of the Oval Office was not your average DoorDash driver. She was actually flown in from Arkansas. And prior to making that 900-mile delivery order, she had previously appeared as a witness at Republican field hearings touting Trump's big, ugly bill. And she also appeared in promotional videos put out by congressional Republicans in supporting that bill. But even though this entire event was staged, Trump still found a way to make it incredibly awkward.
Would you like to do a little news conference with me with these people? These are not the nicest people. They're not nice like you. You know that, right?
I'll do whatever you ask me to do, sir.
They're looking about hormone straight and various other things. Do you have any questions? Do you think that men should play in women's sports?
I really don't have an opinion on that.
You don't, I'll bet
No,
you do.
No, I'm here about no
Pizza.
tax on tips.
And I think you voted for me, do you think?
Maybe.
Oh, maybe. I mean, this woman was just flown in from Arkansas for an event for the press on behalf of the president, you, that is, and she won't say she voted for you. But later she did acknowledge what's hurting millions of Americans right now, certainly people who are DoorDash drivers, the rising price of gas. When reporters caught up with the delivery driver as she was leaving, she said that rising gas prices were obviously having an impact on her, like everyone else. And that's becoming a far bigger and more immediate problem for Trump and his administration than, say, pulling off a little McDonald's delivery stunt.
So did you guys see yesterday a lot of the Republicans were posting about the tax refunds that folks were supposed to get?
Yes.
And if you did and you went in the replies, you would see a lot of people are saying, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't get a refund, or versions of whatever refund I got is blown by my gas money or
Exactly.
my grocery bill, that kind of thing. So I think that really backfired. And I feel like they made the same mistake that Democrats made, only worse. Like, Democrats were celebrating the numbers, like, oh, inflation's going down and more jobs and this, that, and the other thing. But people's lived experience didn't agree with that. They were like, well, I'm hurting while you guys are celebrating. And they punished Democrats at the polls. This is going to be epic because they are celebrating this shit. It's kind of crazy that they made that decision. Like, we're going to celebrate the refunds. And my understanding of the refund was like, the one that they were saying was the average was $700 and something, whereas that's blown away by what you're going to be spending on gas and people's electric bills, which are crazy, your heating bills, all those kind of things.
Healthcare, if you decided to keep your ACA healthcare,
okay,
literally, healthcare just went up. I could just speak for my family. We're talking about going from $200 to like $1,000 a month. There's your tax refund. 1 month covers.
Don't get me started.
Not helpful. Not helpful. I know.
So
Sorry.
you guys, tonight,
No,
Trump was in what's that? Go ahead.
No, I was saying what Michelle was saying was good.
Yeah. So Trump was in Nevada tonight, and he admitted that DoorDash thing was a stunt. And I hope I have the right clip here because I have a couple.
This week at the White House, I met a wonderful woman named Sharon Simmons, a grandmother driving DoorDash to help support her husband's cancer treatment. She's got serious cancer. He's going to be okay, I think. Sharon delivered McDonald's to the Oval
He's a
Office.
doctor.
He's a little bit of a, to be honest, it was a little tacky. They come up with these crazy ideas like McDonald's, although that was the biggest ever on Google. They say #1 ever. And the garbage truck. I mean, we do these things in politics. They're a little embarrassing. They're a little tiny embarrassing.
Anyway, he admitted it was a stunt, just like his garbage truck thing when he was campaigning was a stunt.
Well, it's obviously a stunt, and that wouldn't be the egregious part of it if it weren't that, one, they didn't vet this woman. He should never ask her a question he doesn't know the answer to if this is a scripted event. That just shows their ineptitude at this, and the fact that they did not really do what they wanted to do. This spun out of control with the PR person from DoorDash going on just a Twitter bender that blew up, that made this just totally a bad PR for them, and really exposing that the no tax on tips is not really a benefit. So it did the exact opposite of what they wanted to do.
And I think if you're in a line of work like DoorDash or Uber Eats, you are getting particularly hard hit right now because you have to buy gas to just do your job, not to commute, but to do you don't exist without your car. So those poor folks are really getting hit right now with these gas prices.
Yep.
You know, so.
Hey, I'll do a DoorDash. It's done.
I mean, a lot of people are having to do it right now.
They pay so well on the right that, yeah, like I bet she's getting paid probably 10 times what somebody on the left would be paid for all the allegations the Republicans make about all these paid actors and stuff, right? Like on the left side, nobody's paying us, like literally, like that's the problem. Nobody's getting paid on our side, but people on the right, man, they're making bank to say positive things about this party. So I wonder how much she got paid for that. I'll always wonder.
Here's another.
I was really shocked by. I just want to say real quick is how much her story changed, because I saw that and I was really, as somebody who used to do taxes, I was like, huh? So I was really pulled into that story in the beginning, and she was, literally on the White House lawn saying, "Oh, $11,000," and then she took it a step further and went on mainstream media, and they were interviewing her. And then it dropped down to like, oh, I think I'm making $4,000 or $5,000. And then she came out a couple days. They can't let go of the limelight, and then they just keep talking. And she finally fussed up and said, "Yeah, I think I might have made maybe $1,000 to $2,000." So none of their stories, none of the fact. There's just zero facts. They change it as whichever story's getting the biggest headlines, the numbers are really high. And then we got Bessent out there doing his thing, which is, telling people that basically, the immigration situation and that the jobs lost there, that folks just need to step up. We just need to step up and work harder to replace those people. I don't know what world they're living in, but as somebody who lives and literally breathes farm in our area, I've got a winery near me. I've got a chicken factory. I'm not sure what else to call it. We've got beef everywhere, beef ranches. That's just not flying, you guys. It's just not flying. Our ranchers, our farmers are hurting, and I know, a year ago, I might have been in the boots of, FAFO, but I'm not there anymore, because we're talking about generational, like farms that have been around me for decades and decades and decades, 3-4 generations deep, that are closing. Dairies are closing. People are, their land is they're just not using their land anymore. They're just like, I can't afford it. I can't afford it.
I'm going to ask what a lot of people are asking. We know farmers typically are Republicans. I know that in California, you just know, in Central California and the border closer to Nevada and all that. Do you think there is an awakening among them, or do they think this just sucks right now and they don't really blame a bad decision by Trump, or maybe they voted wrong? What are your thoughts? I think. Well, I want to hear Michelle, because she's in it.
From my community, folks are waking up. So I'm struggling right now, right, living in California, and we're working on the governor's race. Is I have folks literally saying to me, Trump's insane. Oh, we're over it. Really? But they want to vote for a Republican governor, and I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, what are you doing? You're literally just replacing one evil with another. Like, come on. So
my grandparents owned a farm. Sorry, Michelle. There's a little bit of lag on my end, I think. All right, keep going. I hear something else in the background. Go ahead. Oh, Michelle said for me to go? Sorry.
Yeah, for you to go.
They were struggling with the family farm back in the 2000s, this was an issue, like already, right? Like, so this is not new for a lot of people who have these, like, and that's generational, right? Like, so that for like however many years since they colonized the land, right? Like they've had this land. And, you know, it's like it's divided somewhat over time because families, you know, take parts and do, you know, whatever. But for the most part, it's been in the same family. And they were already struggling with oranges and cattle back then, especially because the recession hit Florida so hard in, you know, the 2008-9 era. And so I think they already knew back then, but it is so ingrained in these people as a culture, as a an identity. These politics are the Republican politics. So even though they may cast blame on Trump, like what Michelle's saying, and I think that they will, and I think ultimately this is why they will try to rebrand JD Vance as a different person, because the allegiance to the party will remain, though the allegiance to the person may not. And that's what I think is happening now. Is like they're not able to afford stuff. Like this is happening in other countries too. This is not just here. The gas prices are going to be what finally does it, because that's how they operate so much of their equipment, on top of everything else. But can they actually blame the Republican Party, who they see as a savior for some God? Well, actually, if you read the White Rural Rage book, it explains it, but it is absurd. So I think they're so indoctrinated that I just think the first Republican that comes along that makes a through line and weaves a story that they can believe and hold on to, that will vilify the Democrats. Somehow this will be Biden's fault. Somehow this will be a Democrat's fault at some point. Not right now, but someday. So really, Democrats should get on this right now and like really start courting the farmers and trying to undo that.
I don't think we remind people enough that Democrats control nothing right now. We do not control the House, the Senate, or the White House, and we're up here trying to share the blame half the time.
Stop.
I want to speak to what ECBST6 said. It says, you know, it's going to take decades to recover from this. What's really concerning to me about what's happening right now, especially when we're talking about, you know, farming, ranching, and the war in Iran. So that's hitting us in a way that folks just don't have. We used to say, oh, we can take out a loan. Oh, we can, you know, change our crop. We've done it. We've gone from, you know, raising organic beef to vegetation management and raising sheep and goats. Like, so you figure out ways to move around it, right? But what's happening right now, they're just done. They're moving away. They're selling their properties. They're being replaced with, you know, with homes. There's folks coming in and buying the land for dirt cheap. There's not really a recovery plan.
Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It really was just sell it off.
Once they're closed,
and that's
they're gone. Yeah. Once they're closed, it's over. So yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried for my friends
and then
my
what
family.
happens too with that land, because, you know, does it stay cattle or dairy, or, you know, not necessarily. And then anyway, that's yeah.
Well, and again, you know, and then we have JD Vance, who owns an app, right? Or is invested in an app that literally offers information on how to buy these ranch and farm properties for real cheap. So we have investors coming in. And I think right now that's literally what I'm seeing, that folks are pushing back on, you know, no billionaires. Thank God. So they're like, no,
that
we're not
should
selling
be the
to
work
that person. So
of the Democratic Party, to plant those doubts so that people, when they go to town halls like that, they ask those questions of JD Vance.
Yeah.
Because
I just want to say God
times-
bless my neighbors for standing up and saying, I will not sell my property to an investment firm.
for them.
So yeah. So
I
would
wish
to
more
shout out to them.
people would be aware of it, like your neighbors. And I wish more people on that side would ask the questions, because when JD Vance and Trump have had to ask, well, I mean, they answered differently. Trump gets really mad, obviously, and like loses it. JD Vance like gets flustered. And it's good. Like when they push back on them, especially when people ask questions that they can't really answer, they fall apart. So it would be great if the Republican base could start asking those questions of the administration. I mean, the press is obviously not going to do it, obviously, because they put their own press in. But in these town halls or these places and spaces where they meet them, this is where the farmers and people should be asking those questions, I think.
Well, you know, Casey, Michelle brought up a good point, is the cost of healthcare for farmers. I live in a relatively rural area. I went to the hospital on Sunday for a meeting, and it was closed. Like half of the building was closed down.
Why?
I don't know, Chris. I don't know. There was no staff. There was, there was
So
nobody.
are you thinking it's like cutbacks?
Yes.
On a weekday? Like
on
a normal
Sunday.
Oh, Sunday.
You had nobody at the front desk.
Okay.
You had a whole second floor
Yeah.
that was empty.
Yeah, I can
closing
speak
stuff
to
on
that,
Sundays.
Susan. Yeah, we have
It-
three places here: urgent cares, an ER, and a maternity wing that have closed
Yes.
because of Medicaid cuts. They just don't have the funding to keep them open.
Rural hospitals get hit the hardest, and the sad thing is when they start closing services, they start like maternity centers, those kind of things, clinics, and people have to drive unreasonable distances just to get care or in case of an emergency. And we've seen that because of the cutbacks, but also because of private equity coming in and taking over hospitals and selling off the assets. And there's cases of hospitals that used to own the building, own the land, the private equity rents it back to them. So they can't even afford the rent where they're located. So it's just a really, I think we got to talk about that more because it's huge.
Yeah.
It's
and one thing
rural areas.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Really quick, one thing that really concerns me in this area is that we have been kind of dealing with this where the land gets purchased, right? So I don't know, it's been maybe 30, it started about 30 years ago. Hewlett Packard bought a piece of land not too far from where I live. Cool, great, but everyone was like, oh, employment, it'll bring jobs to our area. That's wonderful. Well, then guess what ended up going in about a decade ago? Basically a data center, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of my biggest concerns is that these lands, right? Guess what? Great place to drop a data center. That's one of my biggest concerns too.
100%.
We're not far from big city. I'm 45 minutes from the city, San Francisco. I've got 10 minutes, 15 minutes from me, there's another town. So it's a little scary because I'm seeing it happen. And, I wore my rumors sweatshirt today in honor of just like the rumors are out there. And I feel like we need to pay attention. They're not necessarily just rumors, right? Somebody somewhere is finding something out and we need to listen. When somebody says this happened, we need to listen.
I'd like y'all to listen to this one other clip because this is from tonight too, not that long ago in Nevada.
Some fake inflation because of the fuel, the energy prices, which everybody said was going to $250. We were talking about that, Scott. They said $250, $300. I mean, today, what was it? It finished at $89 or $90, right? And that's in the, we haven't settled yet. Maybe we won't, but I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Fake inflation. Did you guys catch that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, so people are out here suffering and he's calling it fake just because he thinks it sounds better to MAGA or something. I don't get, like, this is one of the things, like, he hoodwinks people all the time. That's like his MO. But like when people, receipts don't lie. Like when you're going grocery shopping or you're going, especially the gas station. That's like, people remember, like, I didn't used to pay $75 to fill up my gas tank or $100 and now I am. You can't really like lie your way out of that.
He has this is the problem. He's got such a cult hold on them because remember, I was talking about this in a video the other day. Remember how when you point out the fact that he was just bragging about sexually assaulting women, the response to people was, well, yeah, he's not perfect, but he says what he means. He says what he thinks. And I like appreciate that, right? And so now with the lying or whatever, when he gets caught, people, the first thing they do is, well, he's not perfect, and that's why we like him, because we know he's real. Right? Like there's always something that they have to come, even if there's receipts that prove he's lying, then it's like, oh, he must have made a mistake, but you know what? That's okay, because that makes him human like us. There's always something. And I don't think there's ever going to come a time where we put like evidence in front of people and they don't somehow construct a false reality so that they can still esteem this man. And the people that actually do leave him, again, won't leave the Republican Party. They'll find a way to stay there. So this is really a challenge for us. Oh, God.
Well, so this arc to Trump came back up, right? Like we had been hearing about it. Now it sounds like it's really moving forward. But somebody mashed these two things up, and I saw that, and I was like, you know what? Is this a coincidence?
No.
Exactly.
One of the suggestions that came back from the review board that he handpicked that just approved this was to take off the eagle. And
Please do.
I'm
if we got to look at it, that's got to be gone.
Right. If that's not,
y'all have to look at it. I have to drive by this shit like often. I'm so upset.
Yeah.
Like
this can't happen.
It can't. It can't. I mean, we already lived through him tearing down the East Wing, and now there's some kind of restriction on the Costco that he's adding to the White House. I mean, that's supposed to be a ballroom.
well, so
I
the ballroom restriction is still in flux. The judge said that it does not apply to anything that is security, and so they can continue with everything.
They can build the bunker.
It is underground, the bunker, anything security related. It is just to the, basically facade, which is the ballroom proper. But that was only because the appeals court knocked it back down to that judge and said, well, clarify what you mean by what can and cannot proceed. But the next step will be an appeal to the Supreme Court. And so, that doesn't sound great. So, so yes, there's the judge put, I think, a 10-day stay on his order to allow them to appeal to the Supreme Court. So we will see within the next week how that happens.
I actually don't. I might have an unpopular opinion, but wouldn't mind it going to the Supreme Court, because I would like to hear the process that he went through. Because I don't feel like, I think most of us who saw this unfold, it felt like he gave the order one day, okay, just tear it down. And I want to hear like what exactly went into this. I want it to be public. I want it to be on record. The way.
But do you think it would force that? I don't know.
Did they archive the stuff properly?
Yeah, they trashed it like the Pam Bondi picture.
The judge's order specifically says that anything above ground will need to be approved by Congress. So the Supreme Court would have to negate that and basically say that he has carte blanche to do whatever he wants.
Wow.
I don't know if Congress is giving me that much hope, though, to be fair. Like, I don't know that they're doing a super bang-up job of holding him accountable.
With so many of these things, it is one more opportunity to make sure that it's on record where these people stand.
Yeah,
and so
agreed.
That is, and honestly, the more there can be delay, the more steps that can be put in place. That it is throw everything at it to slow it down, to grind the gears as much as possible. So every single thing is important.
I agree with that, 100%. Mm-hmm.
So this is, I don't remember when was this, Casey? Well, anyway, he is talking about using American steel when he was going to build the ballroom, and it turns out it is foreign steel. So that came out this week.
America
first.
$37 million in foreign steel for his ballroom. And he coincidentally lowered the tariffs on Luxembourg, which is where the steel is coming from, just before the import.
Yeah. I'm so sorry I didn't get the rest of the clips, but I went back and was watching the conference on this when he was speaking on the ballroom back in October of 2025. And y'all, oh my God, there is a treasure trove of comments that he made. And just speaking of receipts, I mean, and how these people flip flop on what they say. And I know he does this every day and I'm not supposed to be shocked by it, but even I was just like, my God, like they just say whatever. They just go out and say whatever. And they're like, yeah, my pet unicorn, like shit's gold. Like it's great. And everybody's like, wow, really? And they're like, no, actually, I have a narwhal. Like whatever. Like every day it's something different. And how do you combat that? Right? Like how it's like what Chris said, the only thing you can do is slow it down. Because it's like the amount of stuff he said just in October. It's April, y'all. October wasn't that long ago. October? It's only been what? Is that 5 months, 6 months, like at most?
What's really a shame about this steel thing is, so I grew up in a steel town, and by the time I was a teenager, it was a very much dying steel town because of the industry going abroad. And one of the things that Biden had tried to do was to emphasize the fact that, you know, there are some things that we really do need to build here, and steel is one of them. Like for security reasons, there are things that we don't want built overseas, like the CHIPS program. Like, you know, there are things that we really need built here. And what's really unfortunate is this is an instance where tariffs would make sense in a very targeted way in order to, combined with rebuilding our infrastructure to make steel. And that also could help communities like mine in Coatesville, where there is technically still a steel plant, but it is a skeleton of its former self. So you could use this as a huge PR thing to revive some of these towns, to bring back this specific manufacturing, to pose it as this is going to help with national security. But this could be such a huge win. And so you see that this was never about anything like that to Trump. And this is just yet another example.
It's all the what's the money game, the shell game or whatever, or the where you move the things around. So that's the shell thing.
Yes.
Game, the magic trick or whatever. That's what it is. It's just they're just like, now look over here. And the fact that he tweeted all of this about steel, proclaiming that like we love American steel, it's so great, like whatever, and then flipped around and got it from somebody else, and then he'll justify it somehow. You know, he'll justify it. It'll be something about like trying to save us money, or you know, like it's a lie. It'll all be lies. But this is just another part of the process. This is why you don't give the keys to the car to a narcissist. Like why did you give the keys to the country to a narcissist? And a bad businessman.
I wonder every day, is he waking up to see how he can make us crazy? I mean, it's just one.
I don't think you're wrong, Susan. No, I don't think he's doing it, but I do think other people are. So I think Susan's 100% onto something. I absolutely believe that like Stephen Miller and Russell Vought are fucking with us 100%. Somebody back there is. And they manipulate him into doing it, right? Like that's how he doesn't have a clue that he's doing it. But I swear to God, there is somebody back there that has a sick sense of humor, and they're like, yeah, like I when it all comes out, Susan, I think you're right. I think he just doesn't know he's doing it. But yeah, 100%.
I need that elevator ride.
Yeah. Susan, nobody would be a bigger hero than you. Like, I know it. Like, oh my God, can you imagine? I'd put your face on my shirt. Like, it would be great. I would brand the fuck out of that, and I would sell it, and we would use the profits to like pay for healthcare. My God.
So, all right, we're pivoting, not so gently. We're pivoting here. We're going to talk about California, what's going on there. But before we do that, I saw this post. Somebody posted this track APEC graphic on Threads, and I grabbed it, and I was really surprised. So if you just some backstory here. During the primary in Texas, Jasmine Crockett was running against Tallarico. I'm going to make this quick. Track APEC put a really damaging, inaccurate graphic about Jasmine Crockett. It didn't give a number. It said, in fact, I do have it, but I'm not going to grab it. It didn't give a number, but it just said Jasmine Crockett takes Israel money or supports Israel, that kind of a thing. The usual tactics, but without the dollar signs. Mm-hmm. And so the thing about these graphics from Track APEC, you gotta know these numbers are not accurate. When they do use a number, I've challenged so many people to match this number using the FEC fines. And if you want to know where they're getting their money, that's where you should be going, to the FEC fine. Anyone can do that. You can look up a candidate, you can look up a PAC and find out where they're getting their donations from. And you will not be able to match this one. Or you will not be able to find 148,000. But the way that they've gotten clever, the way they word it, they're not saying APAC donation, even though I think your average person sees track APAC and they're thinking, oh, it's
pro-Israel lobby.
Yeah. So it's a bullshit organization. I cannot stress that enough. Track APAC is misleading. They do not give accurate numbers. The co-founders of that company are shady. They are anti-Israel, clearly. I don't know. I just think, and then a lot of people, and then they also use J Street in their graphics as part of the number, which if you know J Street, it's nothing like APAC. This is an organization of Jewish Democrats who don't agree with Netanyahu. And to me, they're an ally organization. Like they anyway, I think people don't know what they're doing when they're spreading these graphics. And I don't think a lot of them care. I think a lot of them are so anti-APAC and they're just like, we're going to do it. They don't know if these numbers are real. They put these trackers. The red is for like, you're bad. The green is if you're good. Like that's who they approve. And they don't, people don't know if they're true or not. They just think they're true. And it drives me nuts.
So to just some background on this, originally this was shared March 9th, and the number on that, because I just pulled up my screenshots, the number on that was, it just went away, 23,250.
And then they took it down.
Right. Now, by the way, that number wasn't released while they were campaigning. No. While they were campaigning, he didn't have one. Okay. And then as soon as he was the victor, then out pops this whoop, like whack-a-mole. Here's another track APAC, but it was a much lower number. It was like the 23,250. And then they revamped that number because they had, they just go find things. And I've read it's just exactly what Chris is saying, but the concern that we have is that they recognize that it doesn't match the number, like if you go look for it, and they do two things. They either look at you and go, well, I'm sorry, you're not smart enough. They get real patronizing about it and act as if like they somehow have some higher authority and awareness that you don't have in terms of how to navigate through the FEC. And like, well, I can't do all the work for you. I can't show you all these connections, right? They like act like they shouldn't have to show their work. Or they say, oh, but it's all of these other shell groups, and it's that dark money that can't be matched or found or whatever. Like suddenly there's all this extra that they've put on, and so when people are sharing these images, oftentimes that latter one is the explanation they use, which is not the track APAC people do the first one, but the people who are sharing it do the second one. They're like, oh, well, that's because they've done all this work to put all of this together, and in reality, it's an op. Like it's just an op at this point. And so people are sharing it, not realizing that they're part of that, even if they don't want to be. And the fact that there was no graphic for him when he was running against her, and now suddenly he's taken $148,000. That's a month ago.
There's the Casey was just talking about. This one came out right after he won in Texas, and they took This is also the point. They are anti-Democrat because what are you trying to do here? You just helped James Tallarico defeat Jasmine Crockett by falsely calling her an APAC receiver, really? And then after the election, they put this up. So you're helping the Republicans at that point. You're not
and remember, they want
two candidates and you help one get defeated, and now you have the nominee and you're trying to defeat him. And here they are again with this,
This feels very Jill Stein.
Chris wrote a really good, he didn't say this, but he wrote a really good Substack on this. Chris did, like very thorough, did all this research. So if you want to go read that, you should go to his Substack page. It's also like on your other socials. But part of the problem is that these people do not want our government to thrive. They want it to topple over. And I don't mean that in a sinister way of like, ooh, like, I mean that they think that that's the fastest way to fix it, which, by the way, most people who study government understand that that is not the case. Like how long it takes to rebuild and create a stable government after revolution, like that's not something you do overnight. And a lot of people die. Like it's not an easy process, but that's what they think. They think like, oh, the faster we can get this two-party system out of the way, the faster we can break this system, the faster we can rebuild it. And so you need to understand that the people who are actively fighting this way, the people on the far, far left using Track AIPAC, are people who don't expect this government to side. They don't want it to survive. So you're not on the same side as them. They are not true progressives. They're not true leftists. They're annihilators. They want to break up this government, and that needs to be said more.
Ugh.
I just
All
would like
right,
to
moving
also
on
say,
to this was traumatic.
Tallarico
This
made
has
a
been-
pledge.
What'd you say?
Tallarico made a pledge. When Tallarico realized that there were some donations made by a person who
A
had
PAC,
connections.
Adelson, yeah.
Yeah, he made a pledge. He's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking, like, I will not do this moving forward. Like, to me, acknowledging that you did it and then making a commitment that you refuse to do it in the future. And he's, you know, I don't know.
And that's why they had to put that $0. That's why they had to
Yeah,
put the
but I
$0
thought he said
part
he wasn't
there.
going to take donations from PACs or big corporations, and he took Adelson money, and they are tied to AIPAC. So he's saying he's denouncing that. What is he saying exactly? What do you mean?
Moving forward, it's my understanding that moving forward, he's saying he will not take any money from anyone that is tied to AIPAC.
Okay. All right.
So-
Fair enough. Let's see.
We'll see.
All right. So California, we had Swalwell, who was, I don't even know how to say this properly.
How do you
I
even get into this?
I hear a lot of people saying scandal. I think it rises above scandal, but go ahead, Casey.
Yeah.
Break
Well,
it down.
yeah. So I think what we have to understand is that there's a lot of behavior in Congress and on the Hill that is entrenched in history and the patriarchy, misogyny. It's all been around for a long time. And what happened was an influencer, Mrs. Frazzled, interviewed him back in, I think it was November of this past year, 2025. And I saw the post that came out that she wrote initially, which is how I knew this whole thing wasn't an op, that there was actually some bad behavior at play, because she wrote a post saying something to the effect of, it really sucks when I interview candidates and then their staffers tell me things about them and I can't unknow those things. But I also can't talk about them because it's not I can't say anything. Like it's, you know, like an off the record kind of, I'm not allowed to tell. And that, like, I'm really bummed about that and blah, blah, blah. And then later wrote a post about how many members of Congress, she's like, is it really just a thing that people in Congress are just having sex with their staffers? And that's like just acceptable that they could behave that way? And people started writing. Well, at some point she did an all call and was like, hey, if you have been victimized or harassed by, if you have had a member of Congress where you've worked for them or they've treated you in such a way, like, reach out to me. And she made a safe space for survivors to connect with her. And one of those stories, or many of those stories, turned out to involve Eric Swalwell. And part of the challenge in this was the way that it rolled out, because there were all types of allegations, from your standard misconduct or things that you wouldn't think of becoming of a Congress member, like sending pictures of your penis through DMs or whatever, right? All the way up to actual allegations of sexual assault. And it was rolled out like in a way where it was a coming attraction. Like, I'm gonna
like
bring this story to you. You were like, we're gonna, initially it was a veiled thing of like, trust me, y'all, there are people running for offices that are bad people, right? And then it was like somebody, yeah.
Like what Casey's saying, I 100% agree with now, and I see it. But the way it was rolled out was a bunch of different influences besides her. It wasn't, if it had just been her, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But there were several influences.
Yes. That's important to mention.
They were coming out simultaneously with very similar posts that said, I had a friend, a close friend, that told me this, and that, like different people, not the same person. And I know for me, I got caught up in it one day because I was like, I thought I just read the same post and it was by a different person. And then I saw another one and it was by a different, like literally it looked like cut and paste to me. So to me, it looked like an op, and I was not the only one that thought that. So I called it out. I was like, this looks like an op. Now, I never said it was an op. I never said, I don't believe women. So like, for me, this got controversial because I was the one that called it out, and I got dragged for it. But it's like, y'all didn't come out with any story. I'm not looking for a woman who's accusing her boss to put her face out there or her name. But can you give us a story? Can you tell us what year it happened? Can you tell us when?
So while it was happening, there was nothing. Like, that's exactly right. So so what I'm telling you is, I'm telling you because I watched it kind of happen and unfold. So I was sort of connecting the dots in a way that people who don't follow her might not have been, right? Like I was like, either this is, he doesn't follow her. So I was like, Chris, I think this is either a CIA level like plan or this actually happened, right? Like this is a long organic process. But because he's over on Twitter more often, like watching these people who aren't her make all of these allegations about him being a bad person, but there's not an allegation. It's just he's a bad dude, like he's a bad guy. But why is he a bad guy? Like, what can we get like any kind of a hint? Also, right? There was no indication at that point what it was.
Also, I was probably the only one that came out and like pieced it together like that. But a lot of people in replies were saying, well, what, this is weird timing. This is, this, when did this happen? Like they were asking legitimate questions. I don't see how anyone could make this claim. They claim, I'm not talking about Mrs. Frazzle. I'm talking about these other people. Make this vague claim and not expect questions, because the reaction to those questions was really over the top, in my opinion. It was
very inflammatory.
Yeah.
So that was the difference to me, is like when you asked, like, because I said some things and I felt like Mrs. Frazzle was very like reasonable to me. She was very like, I get you, but like it's coming, hold on. Like to me, it was very genuine and earnest. And you can ask Chris, I always said I believed her. Like I believe her 100%.
We were talking the whole time, Casey and I.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know what to do. There's two pieces of me. There's me, the person Casey, who like I don't need much. When it comes to a white man in politics, say less. Like, I know he's guilty. Like, right? I didn't need anything. But like, as a teacher or somebody that would be sharing stuff, I'm like, I need at least like an allegation. Like, I need like, tell me what he did. Like, what's on the record. And so, but she
also
was kind
remember
of like,
at first it felt like he was having affairs.
And we didn't know.
The sexual assault, that word wasn't even used until like
it was
last few days.
like literally Thursday. It was Thursday before Wednesday or Thursday before the story broke on Friday. And I had told Chris, I was like, I'm giving him till the end of the week. They got until Friday. And I feel like that's reasonable because that was like the week before. And sure enough, on Friday, the story drops. And then we have all the information that's very clear that this is prolific behavior that has been going on, that I find out there's somebody that we're in DMs with that has had DM exchanges with him where he sent like even a video of himself. And so like this is a person that has been engaged in behavior with people that aren't his wife and staffers and people in positions where he's in a position of authority above, and just inappropriate from that perspective, like notwithstanding obviously the sexual harassment or sexual assault allegations. And so this is I think the questions that Chris was asking were very valid. And I think that if you went to the source, like somebody like Mrs. Frazzle, she was handling them really well. She wasn't yelling at people, but other people were. And that was my problems. I was like, you can't yell at people who are asking for some kind of something, like anything. Like we're not asking victims or survivors to go on record or provide their names or anything like that. But like when we've seen ops like this happen before, it is like fair to suggest that we have something tangible to hold on to. And of course that eventually came.
Allegations, questions are fair. Like as long as you're not,
so
to
respectful. Be respectful.
These other, but these other people that were doing these posts, I don't know, whatever, but I just feel like
I don't know them and I don't know how they're connected.
Like questioning, you were saying you don't believe women. No, what I'm saying is I don't necessarily believe you. You're not the woman. So tell me details, tell me the story. I think it's totally reasonable if you're a cartoon character online without a real name for me to be a little side-eyeing you like, where's this coming from? I don't regret that.
Yeah. And I think part of the problem was a lot of people didn't know the connection to to Mrs. Frazzle. So some people were like, "Well, how dare you? Because she's got like 1 million followers." She does. She has a lot of followers, and she has a very long career doing this as a content creator and an educator. And she's respected, and she does good work. And that's what I said. I'm like, I believe her. Like, I mean, I believe her because I don't believe white men, but like, I also just believe her. But the problem is the other people there wasn't a connection, and they weren't necessarily making one right out the gate, especially.
Right.
And it wasn't until we got right to the end where they finally were saying, well, why would she throw her whole career away without evidence? But people didn't have that initially, and they don't know her and they don't understand. And so they're just sort of believing nothing. There's like a void of anything. And it was the weirdest thing to watch because of that. And had I not followed her, I would have felt exactly the same way, which was like completely bewildered. And I was frustrated during the time because I was like, well, you can't yell at people who don't understand that connection. It's a valid concern to have questions about this and to want to have something to hold on to. So this is the way it rolled out, I think. And I mean, maybe in time we'll understand why it had to be that way. But even if you had to hold it back and you couldn't give that information, I do feel like a lot of the people that weren't her, like that weren't Mrs. Frazzle, the other people muddied the water and made it more challenging. And I think also that in some ways might discredit survivors or make it harder for people. And that's not what we want, obviously. Like what we want to do is, amplify their stories. And that's at the end of the day, that's what we want to do because we believe women. So we want to make sure that survivors, the people like Eric Swalwell are held accountable and that survivors get their justice or whatever we can provide for them.
So, and what I had said to Casey along the way too, is like, if I put myself in their position, right? If I had a friend who was a survivor and told me this story that I had never heard before, and I was like, oh my God. But I was also told that they were asked to go public with this. They were asked to go on social. I wouldn't do it until I could tell a story. I don't have to tell your name, but like, I can't just say, oh, my friend told me that Eric Swalwell, like I'm naming his name, and with this huge allegation that it shocked the hell out of me, I'm gonna be honest. And not even tell them like, okay, it happened in 2022.
Yeah,
and she
like
was
we
a
didn't have dates.
And this, she was raped twice.
Yeah.
And I will, on that note, I will say anyone who isn't really familiar with what went down, besides what we're just saying, read the San Francisco Chronicle piece. That article was really well written. There was a CNN article that dropped, I think either later that day. The San Francisco article was superior, in my opinion. Like the CNN, the difference though, the Chronicle piece focused on one victim, one woman, one survivor. The CNN piece focused on 4. The San Francisco Chronicle article made it clear that she was a staffer, that she had, I don't know, to me, they didn't say this, but like she was drunk and passed out twice and didn't remember. I don't feel like that's all. Like, I feel like there's something else going on there. I think we will find out he was drugging folks. Like he was using, because I've been drunk. I mean, we all get drunk the different way. I've been drunk before and I've been miserable and on the floor in the shower. I still remember the day before. Like
I've been drugged. I can tell you, I have absolutely been drugged. It was by a friend, and I don't mean I mean it was like by a girlfriend that did it for fun, and she thought it was cute. And I thankfully got home and in my shower later, and I didn't know. I found out that like the next day, but I can 100% tell you that because I have guy friends that I called and talked to, and I don't remember like whole parts like by the time I got to my house because I woke up that morning
That's not being drunk. That's
no, yeah. And that's the thing. I don't drink enough to get that drunk anyway. So like I knew, and then I confronted her and found out later. But like that's the point. You feel differently when you've been drugged like that. Like it's a whole, I woke up in the bathroom with a shower on me, fully clothed. Like that's not, you don't do that like when you're like that blackout drunk even. Like that's crazy.
So that, like in the articles I read, none of the accusers said they were drugged. There was alcohol mentioned, but we had an accuser, was it yesterday or the day before, who came out and said that she was drugged and raped by Swalwell, and this was in West Hollywood. So we already knew that he has a New York DA on his ass, or that's opening an investigation, and now LA County Sheriff and the LA DA opening an investigation on Swalwell. So To me, that's good because it's like get the evidence and prosecute this man. Like if he was a predator, which it sounds like he was, and there's this trail, it should be tried. He should be tried.
The concern that Kevin McCarthy though is out here saying everybody knew about this.
Oh, should we play that clip?
Oh, I didn't know we had the clip. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I didn't know we brought that. Yeah.
Any member in Congress knows not to let any young staffer get around Swalwell or Matt Gaetz. It's not a secret there.
I'm not surprised, frankly, because there have been rumors after rumors after rumors.
That's
his colleague in
Willie
Washington
Brown,
pretty much said
former
that.
mayor of San
That's
Francisco.
what Adam Schiff said. That's what Nancy Pelosi said.
That's former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown.
We can pause there, but also to Casey's point, I kept getting DMs. I got messages from reporters when I wrote that post that it looked like an op to me, saying it's not an op and it's an open secret. And I kept hearing that language, open secret. What the fuck? Like, so people had to know this and never said anything all these years. People,
This is why it took an influencer. It took an influencer to do this because there had to be a space for women and survivors to feel comfortable coming forward.
And that's one thing.
I feel like it keeps getting put back on the survivors, right? Of like, well, why didn't somebody say something? Because the guy was in a place of power. He was an attorney. He has friends in law enforcement. There's a lot of reasons why women don't come forward. And
and I don't care about the timing of that. Yeah.
No, exactly.
I don't care. That wasn't as big of a deal for me. It was the pattern of how this was being revealed. That
was the
information. Like
that was the other problem. I'm just saying, like, I think it's important that we understand.
I think there's probably way more survivors, and I think there's more
the women
perpetrators
don't speak
in Congress.
You know,
because if you saw the comment section on Friday and Saturday, especially Friday, right? Because that was before we saw the video from Eric Swalwell, which I can talk more about that in a second. But on Friday, what we saw was this emergence of people rushing to his defense. And I was like, y'all, you do not need to defend white men in power. They have very powerful people working for them, and the system is working for them. You don't need to be their mouthpiece. So this was the other problem, is that the whole time we had people like Chris who were asking earnest questions about like, what's going on here? Like, I need more, like, I need something, like a date, like anything, just anything at all. But then there were other people that were like, but he's in the lead. Right? Like, but he's in they were more concerned about the timing and the fact that he was in power and that he could win. And that's the problem, is that those voices were kind of eclipsing everybody else's. And that's why survivors don't. Yeah, they're still doing it. And that's just wild to me, because when the video came out where he apologized to his wife for his mistakes in judgment, his past mistakes in judgment. So let me tell you, my husband does not, like, he doesn't have any social media, so he had not seen anything but and I hadn't really talked about it with him. So I said, can you just watch this video? And I'm not kidding to you when I tell you, he got 15 seconds in and go, what'd this guy do? And that was before he even apologized. So then when he got to the part of, and I'm apologizing to my wife for my past mistakes and judgment, he's like, oh my God, he really did it. Like, right? And so he's like, that guy is one of the most guilty people I've ever seen. Like, and the micro expressions, like just everything about it really did appear that he was validating that there had at least been some sexual misconduct. Like, he was going to fight the sexual harassment allegation or sexual assault. Like, he was denying that, but it very much, what it did was it painted him as a liar for everything that he said before. It showed that he had lied and that he had this track record of saying one thing and actually being another. And the monsters hide in plain sight. And that's the problem, is that people don't want to believe that, you know, their soccer coach or their neighbor or whatever are doing these bad things, but the system protects men, right? The patriarchy protects its own. And that's what's been happening this whole time, is people have been regarding a lot of this behavior as boys will be boys, and looking the other way. And now suddenly they're like, oh, everybody knew. Well, you're a part of the problem, because you knew about this and you didn't do anything, and you accepted it because it was women, because it was happening to women. Because if it had been happening to men, you would have done something about it. This is why we have erectile dysfunction medication way before we had any other medication to help women with things like, you know, I don't know, endometriosis or whatever. So this is just, if we don't deconstruct this, if we don't get rid of this patriarchy, y'all, like, I'm gonna come back in my after I die, and I'm gonna haunt everybody. Like it's just gonna be awful. So I just want you to know that. Like I will be coming back.
On the way this came out, along the way, I like I said, I had told Casey, like, I wouldn't have done it this way. I'd have done it this other way, blah, blah, blah. And Casey said to me, and I think I get it. Maybe this is a more modern way. You didn't say it exactly like this, but like this is a new way for this to happen. The article comes later. Like this, it goes through social media, which a lot of things have changed. They go through social media. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe you're right. I still would have told a story, but I get it. Like I do get that now. So there is.
I try to be open-minded about that, y'all. I just want you to know, I give the Democrats a lot of criticism and you get upset with me, but I also hold myself to the same standard. So just so you know.
Well, I agree with Chris. I was a little like, what crime? And when it first rolled out, it was like I was confused. Like
because they weren't saying it was sexual assault; they were saying it was he was
right. I thought it was an affair. So I'm like, okay, what crime? What is it? A crime to have an affair? It's wrong. It stinks. But is it a crime?
Well, we didn't even know at that time if he had done anything connected with it other than just having sex. We didn't even know anything. Yeah.
So we're having a special election. I think it's going to be within the next 2 weeks in California to replace him. So that's something Newsom is working on. So
Chris, were you going to say something? Sorry, other Chris, I cut off.
Go ahead,
other Chris.
Sorry.
First of all, I've followed Ariel for years. That's Mrs. Frazzled. And I trusted her implicitly from the very beginning, just based off how I feel about her, that she is very authentic, genuine, empathetic, intelligent. Mm-hmm. And that's why I brought it up privately with you guys 3 weeks, a month ago. I think we're focusing on the wrong thing here in that I think the Kevin McCarthy statement is the thing to focus on. The fact that why wasn't he willing to bring something up? Kevin McCarthy wasn't a random member of the House. He was the Speaker of the House.
He was the Speaker of the House.
And you think through, well, why wouldn't he have used that? Well, because it had no political expediency to it. It would not have done any good to go after Matt Gaetz from Democrats or Eric Swalwell for Republicans because they were both in safe districts. And it would only come out if there were a political advantage to it. And so the thing to pull from this is that the open secret is that they don't care about sexual assault at all. They don't care about sexual harassment at all.
Safety of women.
The only way this was going to come out is if it could have influenced an election, is if it could have served them politically. But otherwise, nothing was ever going to be done.
I made a whole video. It's 12 minutes long on this because it goes along with the Rape Academy story that CNN just released. And I said, this is the byproduct of a system that does not regard women as equitable people. We are still property in the eyes of people and in the eyes of this government. And when you keep telling women they don't have bodily autonomy, and when you keep having presidents that assault women, rape women, and protect pedophiles, this is the outcome of that, is that people like this, like Eric Swalwell, get to stay in positions of power while they treat women this way, and other people are just fine with it. This is the problem. It's a byproduct of the system. Like that isn't going to be fixed until you completely overhaul the entire thing and the expectations within it. So I think that this is why, like you said, that needs to be the focus of this, is like, why are we okay with anybody doing this, like at any point?
And I feel like these events happen and it's like a wave, right? Where everyone's on board. We need to fix the system. Women need a safe place to land. We need, women need to be protected. And it just seems to be that it happens with elections, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would be so wonderful if we could find an actual safe place for these women to land, whether it's legislation, whether it's some sort of committee that's actually willing to do something about their own, right? Well, I don't give a shit if they're Republican. I don't care if they're Democrats. I don't care who you are, what your label is. don't care. Your party
That's
matters
what-
none to me.
That's a really
Like-
important conversation that needs to happen a big time. And that's one of the things we're going to be discussing as reformers on how to make that happen, how to make that part of the public space. And I think that's really what's missing. We have some research to do, but like, I don't think there is, I think Casey, like you mentioned before, it's the equivalent of human resources. They're really there to protect the company, not the individual employee.
Right.
And
Yep.
if, you know, as far as Congress goes in this situation, there needs to be a third party. It needs to be nonpartisan, not bipartisan, nonpartisan, third party where people can go however they want, anonymously. They can tell their story, to just even give a warning. And anyway, we're going to get into this for sure. This is a discussion that needs to happen. And honestly, people need to answer for this. If it doesn't exist, why doesn't it exist? Y'all have been hearing about this for years, this open secret
And
for
did
years,
nothing.
and it's nothing. And it took
How
some
many
social
people
media
could have been
influencers to
protected,
bring it
right?
out. What's that?
Mhm. How many women could have, this never
Been
would have
safe?
happened
Yeah,
to them.
100%. And
Right?
you know, 6
So-
women have come out so far that we don't know that that's just 6 women. You know what I mean? There could be many
Oh, I
more.
would bet my house that there are many more.
Yeah, that don't want to tell their story. And that's their right.
And
So
can you blame
before we
them?
move
Yeah,
on
look
from-
what's happening.
No, I cannot. I have had a small situation of which I told Chris about. It's a long story, but at the end of it involved me being pulled into a room with a lawyer and no windows, and the head of the internship company saying, "Oh, do you normally go meet with men that you just met in bars?" Like my internship coordinator that like acted inappropriately. And I felt guilt and shame, and I had done nothing wrong because I had a raspberry iced tea. He was the one that was inappropriate and was ridiculous. But that's how I felt. It's very strong, like independent, like mouthy. Obviously, I was still mouthy back then, and here I was having done nothing, and even I was in there crying and feeling terrible. Imagine like if you had a boss taking advantage of you, especially in a long like. That wasn't my career. It was an internship. Like it might have felt like a career to me, but
I don't have to imagine. I've never shared this with folks, but I'm going to share it here because I feel like people need to really understand. So I apologize if I get choked up, but I used to work for a company. I did their accounting and I was also their HR manager. I handled their HR. So my question is when the owner, the boss, assaults you, who the hell does the HR manager go to? You know what I'm saying? What do you, what I had no choice, but to put up with the harassment because I really felt like I had no choice. I was a single mom. I knew that I couldn't just quit.
He
my
knew that
job,
too.
And
He knew that
it.
too.
And when I told him I was leaving, I was told I was going to be blackballed. That if I used him as a reference or the company as a reference, that he would make sure I would be unemployable. And if I shared my story, he said, I will. He was like, I will take you down. So,
and that's the problem is you're not in the minority. You're not in the minority, Michelle. That's the problem. Men don't understand that your story is the more common story. Unfortunately, like
this guy
the problem.
used to come in. This guy used to come in. I wish I was kidding, and people saw it, and I think that's the frustration that where I'm coming from, right? Like I would sit at my desk. I had my own office, and if you look down the hallway, I had probably 5 or 6 girls that worked for me doing like accounts receivable, accounts payable, etc. And his office was next to mine, and he would come out of his office, come into my office, and take his shirt off and sit on the floor and do yoga. And I'd be like, what the hell is effing happening right now? And he was
Is
like,
he
well,
by
your
any chance in the
office
Trump
is-
administration at this point?
I have no idea. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. But
Secretary
it
of
was
Health and
legit
Human
that
Services.
feeling of like, I don't know what to do right now. You're literally, I'm in a space. So you kind of freeze, you kind of panic. I look out the door and I can literally see all the girls in the hallway looking out their cubicles like, what the hell is going on? And so everyone kind of knew like this was who he was. This is what he did. And, you know, just don't make sure the door doesn't get closed behind you kind of thing. And so I couldn't quit. It took me a couple months. after that happened to get the hell out of there. But these are men in power. They know they have power over you. And for me,
Look at how they justify
he knew
Trump.
my situation. Yeah.
It's the same. It's
So
the same
it's
thing.
all
Like,
it's gross and it's all familiar and it's all like, yeah.
so the
And
timing
women don't
was
have a safe
never.
place.
Yeah, the timing for me was never an issue. All I needed was just he acted inappropriately. Like you had that, then you got me. Like he acted inappropriately with the interns, done. Like I'm sold. I'm on your side. That's all I needed. And I think, and you'll see, like I went after people in the comments like on Friday and Saturday because the amount of people who made it like less safe for survivors to talk about this was from the Democrats was horrifying. And I think that was the other thing, is that this is a reminder that the patriarchy is not partisan. Like it's not, it exists on both sides and both sides benefit from it. And the people like Eric Swalwell who look like Eric Swalwell benefit the most from it. And so, and by the way, that's most of Congress, right? This is again, another reason when we're looking at primaries and the people that we want to put as our candidate, put forward as our candidate, to start looking at women, start looking at Black women, right? Like they don't have this foolishness. Like that's not going to be an issue with them. And if you start having a makeup of a system that looks less like Eric Swalwell, then you will also have better protection for people that look like us. That's what it is.
My question is, as Kevin McCarthy alluded to the fact of, it's been this secret. And then the clip that you showed of Brown saying, it's been years, whatever. And both of them, whether these two guys were on the top of the list.
One of them isn't even in Congress.
Top of the list. Okay, but so top of the list. So that tells me there's a list.
There's a list.
Else? So
who's
who
on the list?
Is on that list? We need to know. Like I want to know.
I think there's a lot to come out here, and I don't think we should let it go. I don't think it should be a one-day story or whatever. One more thing before we move on to Swalwell. So you'll see here we have this graphic, Eric Swalwell video analyzed by Forensic Video. I don't know if everyone's seen that video, but there was a forensic, I'm going to play a report that Newsweek just did. I posted it, I think this morning. Casey had pointed this out to me yesterday morning, I think. And we were both trying to figure out, did this really say it was commissioned in January? This report, this forensic report. So that was immediately perplexing, but this explains what happened a little bit.
Video appearing to show Eric Swalwell kissing a woman in a hotel that is not AI, it's real. Newsweek obtained a forensic analysis report concluding the footage is authentic and shows no signs of AI generation or manipulation. The two short clips analyzed in the report show an adult male kissing an unidentified woman inside what appears to be a hotel room, and the pair lying down together on the bed. The analysis of the metadata reveals that the videos were shot on an Apple device in Las Vegas at around 5 a.m. on July 31, 2021. Using standard facial recognition software, the man in the footage was compared with several images of Swalwell taken around the same period. The report said that, quote, the appearance of the adult male in the videos matches Representative Eric Swalwell. The forensic report was prepared in January, months before reports of Swalwell's alleged sexual misconduct emerged. It was commissioned by an unidentified individual or organization, the name of which has been redacted from the report shared with Newsweek. Swalwell declined to comment on the allegations when reached by Newsweek via phone this week.
So I have all kinds of questions about that. Besides, it was a forensic report commissioned in January of 2025. What was the intention of this and why was that? So to me, this meant, I don't know. I have all kinds of, but a lot of people, when I posted this, a lot of people were like, and that was my initial reaction too, when I heard about that he might be having an affair or affairs, was like, well, that's his business and his wife's business or whatever. And that's kind of a lot of the replies I got here. But I'm gonna tell you why it is not that simple. When he lived a life of a family man on the face. Like that is how he came across. And this was a secret, okay? Open secret, whatever. This is a secret that can be used for extortion. He's a sitting congressman. Same reason we're talking about with Trump and the Epstein file or all that stuff too. or when we talk about the PP tapes or whatever, it can be used for extortion. So do you want your representatives, your senators, whatever, with, okay, these, you know, they're living one life in public and then another life behind the scenes. It's behind the scenes for a reason. And that
and if they're fine with that, then what else are they doing that is incongruous, like right? Like that doesn't match their outward, what they're telling us. What else are they doing? Because they're obviously fine living this double life. They're fine deceiving you. So what else are they deceiving you about? You can't trust someone that's duplicitous that way.
It's just,
I think.
Can we also talk about the fact that there's another man to the right and there's someone?
Yes.
Yeah, there's at least 4 people in that room.
Yeah.
There's at least 4 people in that room.
Folks,
and it's 5 a.m.
Folks had no.
I was going to say that, Susan. It's 5 a.m.
There's the woman,
That's
and
coke.
then there's somebody else on the sofa. I mean, on the
Mark
bed.
my words. Mark my words. You're going to find out that there's drug involvement. I've said that from the beginning. Like, because you don't just stay up. I don't care where you're from. 5 a.m. That's coke or something. Like, that's not normal.
Yeah, that was 5 a.m. in Vegas, and that was the other thing. This video was released. The first time I saw it, at least, was from RT, which we know is a Russian propaganda network. I think it was Saturday. It might have been Sunday. I think it was Saturday. And they reported it as she was a prostitute or sex. They didn't say sex worker, but that's what we'll say.
Yeah, they would
That's
use the wrong
legal
word.
in Las Vegas. Or in Nevada.
Yeah.
You can be a legal sex worker in Nevada. So that wasn't a crime but I don't know how they know that. That's the other thing. Like that was my immediate question. Like, how do they know she is a sex worker merely from this video? Because
they hired her.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Whoever commissioned the report hired her.
Mm-hmm.
They hired her. They have the cameraman. It's all. What do you mean? Like, this is the problem when you put people.
But we also know Eric Swalwell knew there was a camera there. Like, I don't think that. Do you think that was a hidden camera?
No, but I think that he probably, I don't know. You can buy anybody. Look at JD Vance. Like, I mean, you can buy anybody for the right amount of money. So, like, do we really feel like somebody wouldn't? I don't think that these were his best friends that he was with. So I think it's probably fair to say that, they put them in that situation. I don't know.
Do you think maybe he'll clear that up for us?
Sorry.
I mean, hopefully we don't hear from him for a minute, Okay. Moving on.
So who's stepping into that? Somebody's going to step into that role from the.
Do we have any idea who?
Katie Porter, probably.
What role?
His role. Like who are the people? I'm saying. Who are we looking at? I'm saying.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Do we have an?
You mean for Congress? For his position?
Yeah, for his position. Yeah.
There's a special election here in California that's going to.
Yeah, I'm saying. Do we have people that need a seat?
Oh, well, so he's a representative, so it's a specific district, so you can't just be from anywhere and run. So I haven't heard anybody throw their hat in the ring, and it'd only be for a couple of months, or so I don't know. But I mean, maybe I don't know, but it should be. I would think he wasn't going to run again, right? So it would be. I would think the smart bet would be whoever is running. I haven't looked into it, but whoever is running for that.
Thinking about running,
yeah. There's like a whole list of them
on the ballot for the special election. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so
I don't know most of them. I'm saying I saw the names. I don't know them.
I didn't bring those. I didn't bring those to our live stream. So there are too many candidates in the race for governor in California, and this has become a huge problem. I'm just going to go through this real quick. I'm not going to play video on that. Not this week. We'll do more later. But there are too many candidates, more than even we're hearing about. Okay, so like we're saying, there's 10. There's more than 10. There's a lot more than 10. And the thing about California, it's a jungle election. Just real quick, right now, our biggest problem is there's 2 Republicans at the top. And so the 2 top people in the primary that win are our general ballot nominees. Well, we shouldn't say nominees, are our general ballot people. And those are Republicans right now. And 2, regardless of party. So there's no Democrats nominate their guy or gal, and Republicans.
Yeah, the primaries are not separate.
The top 2, period. So this is the problem we have in our let me make this bigger.
That's crazy.
In our state right now. So it shifted. So Swalwell was, I believe, there, depending on what poll you saw, it was either Tom Steyer or Swalwell was the top Democrat. And then we had Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. I wish they made these red so it's easy to tell. So Steve Hilton is a Republican. Chad Bianco is a Republican. Steve Hilton got the Trump nomination. I do want to say about this poll, it was done entirely after Swalwell dropped out. So there's no, maybe not everybody heard, but these are the people, when you got that call for this poll, these are the people they asked you about. They didn't ask about Swalwell. Mm-hmm. So Steve Hilton's number one, Chad Bianco's number two. This has been this way for weeks, and that's why everyone should be freaking the fuck out.
Well,
they have stayed at the top. There has not been a Democrat who's topped either of these candidates.
And no one has topped the undecided.
As you've mentioned before, everybody stays on the physical ballot regardless. And so people that are not connected or tuned in, there's Eric Swalwell still going to get votes.
He's still going to be on the ballot.
He's still going to get a significant number of votes. So that's a problem.
Watch this. There's a video of it.
So many Democrats running for governor that they're splitting up the vote, and that could result in the two leading Republicans finishing 1 and 2 in June, meaning they would go on, and only them, on to the November runoff. The problem for the California Democratic Party is that these candidates decided to file regardless of their standing in the polls, and therefore, even if they drop out, their name will remain on the ballot, and that alone could inhibit chances of a Democrat making the runoff.
So to Chris's point, you're going to see Swalwell on the ballot, and these are not, your ballot is not in order of polling. So we have the fun time of reading through all these names and finding.
Aren't there like 61? Is it 61 people
61.
that are on the ballot? 61.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
PSA.
And then we have
do not vote for Swalwell.
And all these other things. I'm sorry.
So where is the California Democratic Party getting everybody into a room? I mean, that at this point is what has to happen. And the fact that
Chris, they have been doing, I don't know how to categorize this, passive aggressive, whatever. Their version of trying to squeeze people out is coming out with frequent polls. That's some bullshit, because these, honestly, I think it's going to be
so passive aggressive.
This
so passive aggressive.
What is it? But it's going to be to me, it's going to be a social media. I was talking to Casey about this earlier, a social media grassroots effort if this keeps on. I give it until we have a debate on KTTLA. That's one of our local news stations that's going to be on other stations as well, but it's a televised debate. They're hosting it, and it's on the 22nd. These polls are quick, because this poll that I just showed you earlier came out this morning, and they were polled between the 14th and the 15th. I say we give it one poll after that debate. That's definitely timed after the debate. And if you're not in the top 5, get out. And I think it's going to be us tagging these people on social media and be like, why are you still in this race? Because you are just going to spoil it for Democrats. Now, I'm going to be very transparent here. Steve's, Tom Steyer and Katie Porter are like, I will not vote for them willingly. I will vote for them if in the general, of course. But if my person, the person that I want to, is polling in the single digits, I'm also going to tag them. Like, you got to get out of this race. We cannot be a red state. We cannot have a Republican governor. And these are not just Republicans. They are both crazy. Like, especially Chad Bianco.
The sheriff.
The other guy, he is an American citizen, but I think he just became one in 2021 or somewhere along those lines. He was a Fox News contributor. He was also helped with Brexit. Like, what does he know about California? Like, no, I'm not.
Who is Matt Mahan? I don't think I've even seen his
He's
name.
a mayor of San Jose, big funding from Caruso, who just became Caruso decided to run for LA mayor and converted from being a Republican to a Democrat just so he could run for mayor. And he's doing the funding he's a big backer of
Mahan is basically being funded by big tech. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Including
he's
the co-founder of Palantir.
This just shows the ineptitude of the Democratic Party, because the stakes are too high at this point.
Well, let's be clear. This is a California Democrats.
No. And let me clarify, the California Democrats, that this needs to be some Tammany Hall shit right now of like, we're not asking you to drop out. We're telling you to drop out. You know, and not only are we telling you to drop out, but your ass is going to be campaigning for who we pick until the primary.
They all need to
And
endorse.
if not, you don't get to nobody's writing for you after this point. So this is where I talk about put on your big bitch pants and like hold a grudge, because this is I'm serious. Like, this is where you need to say, and if you don't, then you will never have a place in this party moving forward, because the stakes are that high.
That is what Republicans would do. That's what
exactly
they would do.
right.
They'd be like, if you don't do what we're telling you, there will be repercussions. And they mean.
And you know what? Republicans would release the video, because they would probably have something like they have on Eric Swalwell on every single member of their party. And they'll be like, that video will find the light of day. And that is also why I am sure they blackmail the people in the Republican Party.
And not only is California the bulwark against Trump, but also California could be what Mamdani is proving in New York City, which is the beacon of hope for all of us in laying out policies and implementing them that could show us you can be this. You know, you have New York City, which, 8.5 million people could be its own country. You have California with almost 40 million people that could be its own country. You have incredible petri dishes to highlight policies that can show this can be a better way. You don't have to live like this. We could be better. And if it's a Republican governor in California, all of that dies.
It all dies.
Like
so you know what, Chris unknowingly gave us a segue, and we're gonna wrap this up because we're past the two hour mark. But let's do an appreciation for Mamdani video here. Hold on.
Priority for universal child care, partnering with Governor Hochul, $1.2 billion. He's made up.
Let me pause for a second. So Mamdani has just passed his 100-day mark, and these are his accomplishments and his challenges. And I think Democrats, I've said this a bunch of times, they should have learned from the way they campaign. They should also learn that he's actually delivering, which a lot of them were skeptical of. They were saying the millionaires, the rich folks were going to leave New York. They're still there. That's, but this needed to happen. This video.
He had a party. He celebrated it.
His 100 days.
Yes.
For universal child care, partnering with Governor Hochul, $1.2 billion. He's made upgrades to emergency communication systems, also has had some very public speeches holding abusive employers and landlords accountable. Operation Pothole Blitz has also been really big.
Please.
Yeah, 100
come soon enough.
100,000 potholes filled across the city. And of course, we've seen that super strong social engagement where he's been educating the public on social media as well. Challenges on the other side have been pretty intense for him. In January, he said there was a $12 billion city deficit in the budget that he's working to close. In January, we also had that first really, really strong blizzard and a few deaths. Some of his critics said the response was way too slow in that situation. In March, you'll remember this, there was that anti-Muslim protest outside of Gracie Mansion where there were some explosive devices. And his critics also say his promises of free buses or a civilian department for the mentally ill might be ideas that are too ambitious or too expensive. So Mamdani definitely has a modern approach to politics. I think a lot of people have been surprised by him in many ways, especially his interactions with President Trump. But this is just the first 100 days into a 4-year term. So we'll be monitoring it all.
And I think people who are saying, too ambitious, just stop saying that and just let's see what the man can do.
let him just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let him
I mean, he's done well.
Yeah.
It's been 100
As the
days.
kids
And I would
say.
say a lot of those things that they're saying are challenges are things that he walked in there with. Like the deficit he didn't bring, that was already there. So anyway.
Well,
what I found really,
Go ahead.
I want to say how cool it was that there was a slow response when they had the blizzard, but we actually saw him out shoveling snow.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well,
wow, yeah.
This is the thing. His social media has been absolutely outstanding.
Impeccable.
And each of these accomplishments has been highlighted. The fact that I, sitting here in Philadelphia, essentially, know everything that's happened in New York in the past 100 days.
Michelle and I are all the way on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And And the comments underneath are, that's my mayor. I'm from Australia. That this is resonating with people. And in particular, one of the biggest things is what he just put an ad out today, I believe, of it's a tax on essentially, millionaires, billionaires that have a second home in New York City that is worth more than $5 million. And in the ad, he is standing below the penthouse apartment of this, billionaire. I think he's the 38th richest person in the world. It's a $238 million penthouse apartment that is his, one of his second, third, fourth homes, and explaining to people, this is what we're talking about when we're talking about raising taxes. It's on that person, and we all have something to chip in to make the city better. I think he has a little bit more to chip in, and he's charismatic when he does it. He explains it in a way that, how could you possibly be against this? And in the comments was, there's going to be somebody making $30,000 in Arkansas that's going to be really upset about this. And that's the thing you gotta get through. Like, do you understand that you've been voting against your best interests? Do you understand that there is a way to do this to make your life better?
This is what I wanted to say, and I think you probably saw the video, so you can, if you know the creator, Chris, tell me. I saw a video that, and I've never put it this way. I've said this a lot, but this is a better way of saying it, which is that people don't vote for Democrats versus Republicans in this country. They vote for a Republican president by default. And the only time they divert from that path is when they're feeling uncomfortable. So if you notice, after every single major, recession or any type of like interaction, like a Middle Eastern war, any type of Republican fuck ups, in comes a Democratic president. And maybe he serves one term or maybe he serves 2 terms. But at that point, when things are better again, people are like, oh, back to Republicans again. And part of the challenge of the Democratic Party in overcoming that is fixing all their shitty ass messaging, like everything that Chris is talking about. They just, again, they just sit over here going, well, we're doing the right thing, so people will just understand that. And then that never happens. It never happens. By default, people look to Republicans as the beacon of the standard of the president and only leave when they're upset. And I think that maybe in 2028, people are probably mad enough to elect a Democrat, but will they again in 2032? Will they again, when things are good, will they again leave? And the only way that they'll stay is if you show that you're the only party doing that. And the only way to do that is to emulate what Mamdani is doing, which is showing people very clearly with their own eyes, but not just with one person, like everywhere, so that you can't look away, so that you can't stop but understand that this is actually reality. And everything that the Republicans have been doing, everything that they've been trying to show us, that's fake. It's like kind of like the Hunger Games situation where they tear down the thing and it's like you have that realization of this is all fake. That's what you need to do with the Republican Party, is tear it all down and show everybody that it's a facade. And the only way to do that is to show that our policies actually do make people happier, healthier, and living longer, and billionaires can just have a little bit less of their billions and we're all going to be fine.
One quick thing before we sign off. Did you want to mention what's going on in Virginia? When is early voting's underway? I think, is early voting stopped now? Is it? And then
no, tomorrow is the last day not tomorrow, Saturday, excuse me.
We're talking about,
Saturday.
We're talking about the Virginia election for redistricting.
So this week, the big date that we passed up was the 14th was the last day to register. So if you're registered to vote in Virginia, then early voting is open. All the additional polling stations are open, and we're voting on the redistricting amendment, the referendum that will enable Virginia to redistrict temporarily for the 2028 election to balance any of the stolen seats from the Republican Party, because Trump has ordered conservative states like Texas to redraw their lines, to gerrymander them. And this is asking the public if they're okay with Virginia rectifying that so that we can protect our democracy, protect our country. And then it will revert back to the way it normally is for 2020, 2030 after the census is taken. So this is just, you want to vote yes, that's going to combat what Trump is doing. That's going to combat the gas price. That's going to combat everything that you're upset about right now. Like, this is going to help stop that. And so the 18th is the last day for early voting. April the 21st is actually election day.
Yep. Vote yes.
And there's a lot of dark money. A lot. In fact, I'm about ready to, they're like, I'm gonna have to put it out tomorrow because I just haven't been able to find the connection that I wanted to. But I felt like there's another PAC that's been sending text messages here in Virginia, and the person that's behind it that lives in Alexandria, or the treasurer rather, I should say, the one that's like administering it, is connected to a lot of PACs that purport to do good things for Black students. And so it's the irony of the fact that they are trying to use civil rights imagery and trying to suggest that voting for Republicans and Republican causes is going to help the Black community, when we know that that's the exact opposite. And then using a charity to make donations to these PACs to pay for those gross lying mailers about that is like, I don't know, maybe one of the most villainous things I've ever seen. Like, and I was trying to figure out where the big money was coming from, but because it's all dark money, it's really hard to trace it, because everything's like, there's no names to these charities. The only reason I found this is because he's administering the PAC, and I went in and did a background check on him and found all of the other like things that he's connected with and the people he's worked with and the jobs that he's done. And this guy goes all the way back to the Bush administration, and he is so well connected to the Republican Party. So like, who's his financier? You know, is it Peter Thiel? Is it somebody else? Like, which one is it? I don't know, but it's the amount of money. Like this particular one had, I think it's $20 million just for this. This PAC was created just for this amendment. And you got to figure who's that's just one of the many ones. There's tens of millions of dollars that have been thrown at this one election in Virginia. So that's how badly the Republicans don't want this to succeed.
Vote yes.
Vote yes.
Vote yes. Yeah, a lot. I'm in California. We had Prop 50, and we were hoping other states would join the call to answer. Basically, we didn't start this fight, right? Democrats didn't start this fight, but we're not going to back down either. So California did their thing. Virginia's doing their thing. And this is a fair fight because we're answering back to what Republicans did in Texas. They did not give their constituents a say. They did not get to vote. California voted. And just like Casey said, in Virginia, it's temporary. This is not permanent. We're going back to the way it's normally done after census and all that stuff. And so is Virginia. So I think the right
voters get to choose. Voters are getting to choose. It's not being
and
forced.
I would like, I would like to also remind you all that it's a bit like using something like radiation to kill the cancer, right? Like, yeah, radiation can seem harrowing because it can cause cancer, but it also kills it if you use it strategically. And that's what we're doing right here, is we're taking a little bit of something and we're using it strategically the way the courts have said we can do for just a short period of time to stop the Republicans, which is the cancer on this country at this point, the MAGA Republicans. And then it will go back to normal life, hopefully, if we ever can find a semblance of normality afterwards. And I also do want to say, yeah, like most people in Virginia it was a heavy day today because the former lieutenant governor, we found out that he killed his wife. And then he killed himself. So in the home with his kids, like his teenage kids heard the shots and called 911. They were in the middle of a divorce. In Virginia, you have to wait a year. You have to be separated for a year before you can get divorced. A lot of southern states are like that. It's another part of the patriarchy where they try to keep women in these situations. North Carolina is another state that does it like that. And she had already been given custody of the kids and he'd been ordered to move out. And so this is just another example of, where the most dangerous position for a woman to be in is after she leaves a man. That's just statistically that and pregnancy are the two most dangerous times. So it's really heavy and it's really sad. And anyway, so we're all thinking about her family and those kids because it's just awful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking.
Well, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We will see you again next Thursday at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. That's some very sad news to end on, but we.
Sorry,
anyway.
I know I did just bring it all down, didn't I?
I don't know what to
My
say.
bad.
But anyway, all right. Good night, everyone. See you next time.
Good night,
everybody.